The overworked and underpaid epidemic, or basically 99% of people in the world. Actually, no, 99.9% of people in the world. You know what I mean?
Now more than ever, we are overworked and underpaid, especially in
Yep.
2026 with rising grocery prices,
Yep.
ballooning gas costs, and even our own transportation to get to the job that we work at to make money that we need to live is getting more overpriced than ever.
Why can't we get by in this country anymore just working one job?
Stop overworking and getting underpaid. Because best believe if something was to happen to you, you would be replaced the next business.
Oh, we all know, trust me. Us Gen Z, we know that
Chapter
shit the
1,
most.
The overworked. Also, it's not like Gen Z and millennials aren't trying. Millennials are the most educated generation in human history. Yeah, I know us Gen Z screwed up the Flynn effect with the whole bringing down the IQ because of all the doom scrolling. But regardless, humankind
Who invented ChatGPT? Who invented all of these social media stuff? Gen Z? Of course Gen Z didn't. So you can't blame Gen Z for that. We have a lot of stuff to be blamed on, but not that.
Whole is still more educated than ever, especially the current young adult workforce. Yet despite the massive abundance in college degrees, over 1.9 million graduates, yes, graduates, not dropouts, are unemployed.
Gen Z is facing
And what percent of the ones who are employed have a job that's related to what they studied?
the worst entry-level job market in nearly 40 years, with 2/3 of all entry-level roles filled by those with over 7 years of work experience. And with
Insane.
most employers not even considering hiring recent grads, AI is projected to eliminate 50% of all entry-level roles just within the next 4 years.
And this time, it isn't just the gender studies degrees, even STEM is getting smacked in the face with a huge dose of corporate AI slop as more and more interviews are complete
Most of my
waste
friends
time.
are in STEM,
More
they're
job
struggling.
listings are just completely fake. The entire system is run by what feels like ghosts.
Like, imagine this insane system. Aging population, nobody, there's less hiring in Gen Z, and eventually there's going to be way less young people, way more old people, and the young people that are already alive that can be that are from work for working age, that have to support the whole economy. Most of them don't have enough experience or knowledge.
They're sent on this wild goose chase of
Fucking
submitting
collapse.
hundreds to even thousands of resumes just to hear nothing back.
I'm so tired of these
Unemployment is now a
videos.
fate that awaits almost 6% of new college graduates each year. Last year, I already made a video talking about college underemployment in my blue collar video, but guess what? It's gotten worse since then. This isn't to say that we should all just stop going to university, but I highly suggest that people who do want to go down that route still, you should take foundation courses in a community college for the first 2 years, because that's just going to save you a ton of cash and a ton of student loan debt. It's crazy that it's that low of a percent to get.
Also, just be aware that most college degrees are worthless. There's a few of them. Like, I'd still say a lot of STEM degrees are like very worth it. But you know where AI is going. We all know what these billionaires are saying about AI and all these freaking jobs. Okay.
A job that actually related to your degree. Like generally, if World War III starts, more people end up being employed because at least being drafted still means they got a job. So,
So if World War III starts, we won't use AI and robots? Of course we would. What are you saying? So we can get jobs, but we would get like enrolled in like the war. In the army? Yeah, fuck that.
Most of us are working odd jobs just to make ends meet and throwing the tiniest bucket filled with droplets of water at the massive $1.6 trillion of student loan debt.
Yep.
Hell, some of us are even working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. I know some people
I
who
should
work
make a
both
video
the
on that.
closing and opening shifts at places, barely getting by on 4 to 6 hours of sleep, cracked out of their minds on caffeine, and completely empty and devoid of hopes and dreams. A meager 10 to 20% of Gen Z feel hopeful about their finances, with 70% of us having a negative view of the current economy, and 39% of us
70%? Who's the 30% that have a positive view? Are those like already rich people around? There's no 30% of the population isn't freaking rich and aren't millionaires and face no like negative side effects of like AIs and wars and the inflation. 30%? Really? Of Gen Zers?
describe our financial situation as terrible, nearly double the 21% statistic of other generations. It's no
Yeah.
wonder some people in Gen Z just doom spend. They don't think there's anything waiting for them in the future, so they just
No, I
enjoy
don't
what
do
they
that.
have
No,
now,
no,
even
no.
if it's racking up tons and tons more debt.
Nope.
I don't
Nope.
condone this, by the way.
Nope, that's just dumb people being dumb people. No, that's not just them doom spending because they've got no hope. You should still not do that. You don't know what's like gonna come. Maybe you'll need those few extra dollars to survive for a day more. I don't freaking know. You know, I'm dark, but you gotta save
I'm
up.
gonna say this to prevent this video from being all doom and gloom, because something people need to realize
Okay.
is at the end of the day, an economy can't permanently go down. There's a higher chance of humankind literally going extinct than a permanent downturn. The reality
true.
is the market has to come back, or heck, the 4 recessions that Gen X and older millennials lived through, right? I know they're
Yep.
looking at us and they're going, that's cute. They're going through their first recession. But the reality is they're still kicking, and humankind as a whole is still kicking. Therefore,
Yep.
I don't condone taking hundreds of thousands of credit card, auto loan debt, and other various goofball purchases. Having said that, looking at Gen X and older millennials, while I say that they're kicking, it's only sort of. I mean, it looks like they're kind of trying their best, and most of them have honestly just tuned it out at this point, because I have seen the posts of you guys making
That's
closing
me
your
as
eyes
well.
on the highway and letting a semi-truck end it all, and I just want to ask,
Yep.
you guys are okay?
Just close your eyes and let go of the wheel. You know, usually people say, "Jesus, take the wheel." I say, no. Listen, if it happens and when it happens, I mean, I was gonna say I won't complain. I won't be able to complain because I'll be, dead. But I
Like,
won't
we
mind
chill
it.
here?
You know,
You
I
good?
don't care.
Are we all just suffering right now in this economy? Is everyone in this boat right now except for boomers?
Yep.
It's like, we're cooked. Bosses, politicians, and our elders would
Oh,
rather
God.
squeeze every last penny out of us on their way out, even turning multiple segments of our economy into dedicated funnels for
And then we get mad, and it's justifiable. But then we get mad when billionaires do all of this stuff to us, and they get richer, and we get poorer, and all of this. Every single human being is like this. Imagine a lion, and they dominate this habitat, this part of the savannah. When somebody invades it or threatens their family, or they're like women, lionesses, whatever, right? They will fight to the death. It's the same with humans. We're just animals with more intellect. We just evolved more in our brains, and now the most powerful humans in the world do the same stuff as aliens. What I'm so obsessed with aliens as animals do in their habitats, in the places that they live. We're just more destructive because we've got AI, nukes, economies, societies that function from based on everybody else functioning the way they have
our
to.
money going straight to them, be it their health care, their retirement, their 4th vacation home in Fiji, and their investments.
I wish I
which,
had
by
that.
the way, the stock market. I don't care if it hasn't said we're officially in a recession yet. It's the same 7 asshole AI companies trading the same lump of cash to each other on each other's balance sheets.
It's like saying, oh, there's no inflation in the US and all of these other countries because look, the GDP is growing. Yeah, the GDP is growing. It's between the richest people and companies. The average person doesn't fucking feel it.
The entire market is being carried by a few firms speculating about the future of AI. And every day, it just looks like this whole game is being held together by tech CEOs passing around the same pile of money to make their numbers look
Also, Mark Zuck recently said, yeah, we might spend, a few hundreds of billions, but it's worth it. It's gonna, cost a lot of people's livelihoods and shit, but, it's worth it because we're in an AI race and we don't know what might happen. And to that I say, fuck.
To make it look like the economy is still
Insane.
working when it's long become a zombie being puppeteered by the rich for the rich. Just look at all the
Yep.
other corporations that are even going bankrupt right now. Like, it's getting so bad.
2025 just finished off the year with the highest number of large
I
corporate
love this
bankruptcies
channel.
ever outside of an official recession.
We are all feeling the burn, other than literally a fraction of a fraction, like a top 0.01% of people who are puppeteering it all. It's no
Yep.
wonder some people just want to watch the world burn.
All you had to do was pay us enough.
I don't blame him.
and live. There goes your inventory.
Chapter 2, The Underpaid.
What the fuck? Wait,
There's
he
nothing-
burned all of it?
There goes your inventory.
Oh, I remember
Chapter
this.
2, The
Like the
Underpaid.
guy got fired or something, and he burned down the whole warehouse.
There's nothing more dangerous than a man
Insane
who
dude.
has nothing left to lose. I want to make it very clear. I do not condone acts of vandalism, and especially not
Nope.
arson that can bring potential harm to
Nope,
others,
nope.
and it's genuinely a miracle no one was hurt. I also think what he did was still de facto in the wrong because he took away several of the jobs of his coworkers who obviously can't show up to work anymore because it's a burned down warehouse.
Yep.
Having said that, while I don't
You're
just
basically the same or even worse now than the corporations who are using you guys and me and everybody as slaves, and you just destroyed other people's freaking livelihoods and jobs. Why?
justify his actions,
on, man.
I do feel bro's rage. This was likely
Yeah.
someone who used to be reasonable, but has
Abdul
hit their
Qadir.
last straw. He's not some career criminal or some teenage punk. The reason people related to him was because they could see themselves in his shoes. At the end of the day, he just wanted a living wage. Despite things being more expensive than ever, the minimum wage hasn't moved since 2009. And roughly 20% of jobs still pay
Nobody's being paid 7.25 an hour. Come on. 50% of my audience is from the US. Please tell me, are there actually people out there making 7.25? I browse, job postings a lot in different countries. The lowest I've seen is like 15 to 20 per hour. I haven't seen anything low, and that's low as fuck. Okay. 7.25
less than $15 an hour. And before someone says, but raising the minimum wage will raise inflation, mother trucker, that shit hasn't moved since 2009.
It's true.
And we
Yeah,
still
that's
got inflation.
sadly true.
Also,
Yeah.
the same at mother
I'm not an economics expert, but that is true. Yeah.
who act like we've never raised wages.
That-
for,
I
oh
don't
my
know
God,
what the
don't raise
solution
wages,
is.
It raises inflation. We have literally been raising wages throughout history until Gen
That's
Z
true.
entered the market and wages stagnated like crazy.
Yep.
If you only want to work 4 hours, it's
Oh,
going to be
God,
harder
this
for
woman.
you to get a house. We busted our behinds. We had
I remember this woman saying that Africans were a key part of ancient Greek culture and development. What? Don't listen to what this woman has to say. She is an idiot.
Minimum wage in 1980 was $3.10. It is now $7.25. However, rent was $243 on average. Now it is $1,900 for a 7.8 times increase. The median house price was $47,000. It is now $419,000. And the big one, college, was $2,300. It is now $30,000, 13 times more expensive.
They call us lazy and quiet quitters, but the reality is
I did
most
not
of
know
Gen
about
Z
that one.
adults still clock into 8-hour shifts full time. But the difference is how little modern paychecks go in this struggling economy. So despite working the same amount of hours, not less, the same.
The struggling economy, also coupled with influencers brainwashing people into spending a lot of money, and consumerism being so big. I already made a video on that. I'll probably make more videos on that. It's freaking fun. People are like, they know it's hard, and the economy worldwide is freaking horrible, and there's an inflation and all of this, and recession and all of this, and they still want to look rich and buy tons of whatever fake stuff and go in insane debt. And those kinds of people with insane debt that can't get a job, and the economy is so bad, everything's so expensive, and then there's going to be more and more old people and less young people. I don't know, man. I don't think we're going to see anything like good, a healthy economy, and a nice life in our lifetimes, like our generations, in this century. I don't think it's possible. Maybe I'm negative, but I don't think it's possible. The economy worldwide, or at least in the West, might start going up and getting healthier and healthier. But the repercussion, the negative sides, they will still, they'll need some decades to catch up and even out, so life actually becomes a little bit better.
We have less purchasing power than ever, which takes us back to the overworked in chapter 1, why a lot of people take more than one job. Most of us aren't asking to live on minimum wage like some of them did. We know it's not a permanent career, but for Christ's sake, is it too much to ask for a higher living wage, to have
It
our
is,
wages
yep.
match the rate?
You're alive, you were born, you didn't choose to be born, and nobody asked you for it, and now you don't have the right to live a normal, nice life.
Inflation, even when they do
Being
raise
able to buy food every month to eat, yeah, fuck that.
wages, by the way, they end up cutting tens of thousands of jobs and replacing them with AI and robots wherever they can.
I saw this.
AI is starting to come for
Then
jobs,
now Meta
and this is living
removed
proof. We're
16K
gonna start
people.
at number 10, which is Dell, which has 12,000 employees laid off.
Oracle lays
Nice.
off 30,000 employees, then offers
Fuck.
$29.7 million pay package to the new CFO.
These hypocrites at the top.
And the
completely-
CFO is probably worth way less than all those people. I'm not saying all of those people were useful. I'm saying the CFO. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Easy they had their life when they were young and in their 20s, and were not entitled for asking for the same American dream that they had growing up. In fact, we just want
There's
a
no
fraction
dream,
of it.
man.
I don't even need as big of a house or as nice of a car as them. I don't even need a car. In fact, just anything.
Bro, I live in a one-room. I live in a studio apartment. I've been living in a studio apartment for the last 5 years. Okay. Investing heavily in shit to buy a bigger apartment and working on some stuff on the side as well while also working a job. It is what it is.
American dream, bro. Not having crippling medical debt right now is an American dream for me. Like, things like this will keep happening if people feel disgruntled, underpaid, and hopeless for the future.
Yeah.
I said this in my bad driver epidemic, but I'll say it here again. Why are the rich and the old taking away the futures of the young and healthy? A healthy
Bro,
economy.
I'm telling you, the rich and the old are the biggest problem. At least that's my opinion, even though a lot of people blame Gen Z. The rich and the old, well, most of the rich are the old. They, a lot of the times, push political agendas and propaganda to brainwash young people into, like, difficult political, sectors. So then we fight and get divided. That makes them money. Trust me. It's both on the left and right. Whether you're left or right, I don't give a shit, right? And as I said, the human and the biological living being psyche, once you're on that high power, you want to keep your position on that high power and control everything. And that's how they do it. That's how it is. I'm not saying that I'm anti-capitalist. I'm saying that there's no perfect system.
Functions on a
because us
strong
humans, we're not
youth
perfect.
in the
We're always
workforce,
there's always
not
gonna be
the other
rich,
way
powerful
around,
people that
because
will wanna,
young people are
destroy
literally
everything.
required to work because they're the ones who can work, and old people, they need us for their retirement, which it blows my mind why they treat us so poorly then. These punks are just private equity cum dumpsters for billionaires to jerk off and invest into. They're playing with people's lives, and they even have the audacity to move into the content creator space on YouTube. Nothing is safe from billionaires. Every hustle is dead. They want to maximize every single penny of profit and every industry.
All about profit and shareholders. Fuck the human being.
Even creative industries.
Yep.
On to chapter 3.
I just had an order pop up that said, "Oh, this order is 45 items for $7."
You guys gotta understand,
What?
like, door dashing is just a dead end street. I mean, it's just not what it used to be, like, at all.
The hustle is dead. A lot of people are actually losing money in the side hustles they currently work in. For example, like wasting more gas idling their car as they get less and
My
less.
side hustle is my YouTube channel, and I'm making, a few dollars, a few tens of dollars, like a couple, maybe 30, 40, 50, which, for somebody who lives in a poor country, kind of helps, and I'm trying to grow it.
Uber Eats
so I'm not losing money.
I've been sitting in my car for 2.5 hours and haven't done anything, haven't made any money, so there you go. I have 5 stars. I'm a diamond cart, which is the highest level you can get. I get priority access to orders.
Side hustle culture and the gig
Yeah, but people don't have the money to order stuff as much.
economy is dying at a rapid rate, and this makes sense when you consider doing DoorDash or Uber Eats for extra cash on the side isn't going to work when most people don't have any more cash to order food or take regular Ubers to concerts or airports from traveling, because no one has money to do any of those things, so then people can't make money from doing those things either.
This would mean that even if there were no changes in how this revenue was divided up, there is simply less money per driver even without considering inflation. But by understanding these numbers, you can see how this can very quickly become a dangerous feedback loop, especially if these customers can no longer justify spending twice as much on their food to have it hand-delivered across town.
Even sadder is inflation. Despite being back on track to its normal 3%-ish yearly rates, that just plainly doesn't feel true. Many goods have de facto gone up 10% in front of our eyes within a few months. Take a look at the PS5, for example. Last year, it got a $100 price increase from tariffs. only to get another $150
I
price
didn't
increase
know
from
this.
RAM prices. Fucking chips, for example. I swear to God, these were like $3.99 for a huge family-sized bag just a couple years ago. Then I blink, and suddenly a single bag of chips costs more than the U.S. minimum wage.
Well, just regular Doritos, $9 a bag.
$7.20.
You gotta work. If you're working minimal wage in the US, you gotta work for 1 hour to barely afford Doritos. That's such a fucking depressing way to live. Oh my god, I hate it so much. I'm hating this shit so freaking much. Where have we ended up as humanity?
One bag of Ruffles. Are you kidding? And before you say, oh, that was the party size, the regular size is $6.
That's my favorite, sour cream onion.
An hour of work buys you a snack in this economy,
Yep.
not even a meal. And you're gonna have me believe that inflation is on track to being 3% yearly? Kiss my ass. What's crazy is barely 10 years ago in 2016, you could still buy several burgers for $1 each. I'm
Not just that, and you would always be able to like get a job in McDonald's, KFC, and flip burgers and putting fries in the bag. Nowadays, you can't even find that kind of a job. It's that insane. It is that freaking insane. And there's like, where I'm from, there's a new KFC being opened and all of this stuff. But at the same time, I talk with a few people. They're like, hey, I'm struggling to get a job and I'm applying for this new KFC place. They said that there's way too many applicants. They can employ, like they need like 3, 4, 5 workers. And they have like 100 applicants. I'm like, 100 applicants? What the fuck? And I'm like, are those all like high school and college people? And he's like, I saw a 35-year-old being interviewed before I got interviewed. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Aliens should invade us, or like a meteor, huge one, should strike, I wouldn't mind it.
Stating this. I remember literally using a $5 bill in high school back then to get our food, blasting chain smokers closer as me and the boys were packed into a tiny car after club. That $5 bought all 5 of us a single burger each. I do not want to hear this thing called gradual inflation when it basically was a night and day shift. Most of us still feel like we just woke up one day and everything just costed 4 times more than it.
And that's the thing, inflation works like a permanent tax of some sort. So inflation will go up. It might go down, right, in like certain times, but it will never be like it was originally previously before it skyrocketed. It will always be somewhere above. It's like a permanent tax or something. It's
used to.
In January of 2020, I paid $7.
At least that's how I like to see it.
items. I added all of them into the cart again and repurchased them today. Today, those 30 items were $165.42. That is a $95.
Also, a lot of these, yeah, the price is more than double, right? But also, a lot of these like bags, they've got like a few 10, 15, 20 grams less inside. So it's probably like, you're probably paying like way more money for a lower amount of food.
Price increase in 4 years' time. That's a 135.6% inflation percentage.
But I'll save my rants on various consumer goods for a future video called The Overpriced Everything Epidemic. And if you'd like to see that, then make sure to like this video and subscribe for more Epidemic slop so you don't lose track of me. Let's move on to the final chapter.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice.
AI.
I am willing
Billionaires.
Even if the economy collapses or we finally get a market correction, I'm still fearful of what the government is going to do because they might just side with investors and give them a bailout. Remember, guys.
They will. Trust me. They will. 40% of federal taxes in the US come from the top 1% of people. Who do you think supports the economy more? Those people or the rest of the people in the freaking country? Same goes for a lot of other Western countries, like in the countries in Europe, countries in Australia, New Zealand, and so on. Same shit, man. I don't think they're gonna side with us. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm a doomer, but hey, you guys prove me wrong in the comments.
If we start a business and fail, It's just called capitalism. Take your L. But when investors throw money in a company and it fails, oh, they socialize the losses. We have to all share the L for that one. As these comments adequately describe the sentiment, our actions have consequences, so it's our responsibility to dig ourselves out of our own financial holes. But for investors, oh, whoopsie doopsies, please bail me out, Big Daddy Government. And this comment right below, privatized gains, socialized losses.
Equality doesn't freaking exist. And we're fighting over it because there's no equality between races, between ethnicities, between genders. No, bro. There's no equality between how the government treats the richest people and the middle class, which is, you know, slowly going extinct and going into the poorer class, and of course the lower class, the poorest people. That's where the biggest inequality and division is. Okay, there's problems with division with ethnicities and races and genders. Of course there is. There always will be. But trust me, if you got that dinero, that moolah, or whatever you guys want to call it, you're immediately seen as something above the average Joe Schmo humans who are, you know, replaceable, and nobody gives a shit about us. And that's the same way it goes. It's the same for every country. It goes the same way for every country.
Sums up exactly what I wanted to say. Socialism is only acceptable when investors lose, guys. As a result, the sentiment across most American Gen Z and young millennials is simply to let it rot. A trend that originally started in Asia from their culture of overworking their youth and complaining why none of them are making babies when literally none of them have time to raise a child, much less afford one. Like, these boomers have the audacity to ask us for babies to put
It's insane how many videos this guy and how many creators this guy showed that I actually watch daily.
It's system when most of us can barely
We're all
survive
depressed.
in this dog shit system.
We all see the same
let's
shit.
Repeat the cycle. We grew up watching our stressed and broke Gen X parents raise us to be
Even
stressed
this
and
guy.
broke. Then we raise our kids to be stressed and broke.
So it turns out that my teenage son and his
Even
gang of
this
friends
guy, I've seen
thinks
him.
that the future is going to be bad no matter what
I
they
hope there's more old people like I hate that I called them an old person, but older generation. Okay, I don't give a shit. Okay, I look old and I'm 24. I don't give a shit. But hopefully there's gonna be more like older generation people that actually figure this out. Like my dad and my grandparents blame my whole generation for what's happening in the world, and I'm like, of course we've got some part of it. Some part of it is probably our fault, but it's nowhere near the percentage you think it is. But the majority is like boomers' fucking problems, Gen X's problems, not us. Okay?
So he thought that he might as well give up trying. Initially, I felt kind of annoyed. My son felt that by the time that he and his friends became men, it would be like joining a game of Monopoly at the end
It already is.
where every single lot has already been bought up.
This also creates a negative cycle where companies raise prices on childcare-related things to maintain their profits, which drives costs higher, which further disincentivizes the normal person from having children. In the United States, we're already seeing something similar. Recent estimates put the total cost of raising a child at around $300,000 to nearly $400,000 from birth.
The last time I heard this, it was $200,000. Now it's almost $300,000. Well, 10 years from now, it's going to be $500,000. Actually, it's probably going to be more. And it's going to be even worse in so many other freaking ways. And if a lot of people say, oh, there's going to be universal basic income. Yeah, and you're going to be controlled as slaves somehow. It's not that glamorous, okay? We're humans. You can't think that somehow we're going to create a utopia. We won't. This is not a left or right-leaning talking point. This is just me being negative.
Age 18, not including college.
That doesn't make Gen Z selfish for not wanting kids. It'd be selfish to have kids just for the sake of having them to meet a boomer government quota.
It's selfish both ways. I get it.
Only to struggle to put food on the table for our kids that are...
But how would we fix the economy if there's an aging population and you don't have kids? I'm telling you, it's a double-edged sword. More and more younger generations will struggle with finding jobs and with AI and stuff. But at the same time, if we don't have kids, we're going to struggle because of the same problems. The problem will not escape. Even if, I saw some statistics like in the US, Europe, even if all of a sudden there's like more than 2.1 kids per woman, which is like 2.1 is the number where the population would be maintained. Above that, it's when the population would grow. Even if that started happening, if it was above 2.1, we would still have these kinds of problems because for like at least 3 decades minimum, I'd say. This is my guesstimate now. Because of all the damage we've done so far as humans.
Living people. By the way, I'm not against having kids. I do not want to end this video on a hopeless doom poster note. The point I'm making though is I don't want people to feel guilty for not rushing through life. Times have changed and the metric of how we measure our success has changed. The same boomers who tell us to stop comparing ourselves to each other in social media won't stop comparing our life to their privileged upbringing during their best economic boom.
And when I was in school, I got compared to every single high-performing kid in my class by my parents. It was brutal.
Human history.
I think one of the biggest flaws that the boomer generation has is they have a real hard time believing a reality that exists outside their own lived experience. It's almost always...
Bro, what are you saying? That's the same for every single person in the world. That's very... I praise myself on being out, thinking outside of the box and questioning everything and being open to be proven wrong. But most people aren't like that.
You're wrong because
even I sometimes get stuck in some bubble, and I need time to get out.
When my husband lost a job, when we raised kids, it's almost like they can't prescribe a solution outside their lived experience.
And this kind of makes sense. Think of pre-industrial humankind. If someone lived to be 60 back then, they would de facto be wiser than anyone else in town through lived experiences, since technology didn't really change that fast.
Yeah, also society didn't advance that much. So when you were 18 or 15 and when you were 60, like society, science, technology was basically the same, or in other words, mostly non-existent compared to what it is now. And now in 20 years, shit changes a lot.
Over the course of many centuries during that
time. And people don't adapt,
so
especially older generations.
Wisdom. However, fast forward to just the past 2 centuries and you realize lived experiences no longer accurately constitute wisdom for the same reason that horse breeders became outdated by cars and motorbikes. Magnify that level of technological power creep by a factor of 10, and that's the best comparison I can give for the internet being brought onto the world. This is why I still struggle to explain to boomers how expensive cars are. Until they literally try to buy it themselves, they won't believe it. For example, I tried to help one of my friend's parents buy a truck a few months back, and he was in disbelief that the luxury truck he wanted costed $88,000. He thought it would be like 35 to 40 grand at most in his head. After being completely...
This is the definition of living in your own freaking bubble, you delusional idiot. Oh my god, brother. This is giving me pain. I'm like in pain watching this because I'm just getting flashbacks of talking with a lot of older generations. People in my family and relatives saying insane stuff, being so unaware of what's happening. Oh my god, bro.
Humiliated by a salesman saying, "We don't negotiate under MSRP anymore." In fact, that particular model has a market adjustment of $10,000. Oh, you have an 800 credit score? Yeah, that gets 4.99% APR. Sorry, we don't do 0% interest or even 1.99%. And this finally made him realize that the last time he bought a truck in 2015 was a totally different world than 2026. Having said that, this is why you shouldn't try to live to their outdated worldviews that they based only on their lived experiences. You don't need to be married at 22, house at 25, and 2 kids by 27 like boomers were. The
thing is, it's nice to have those options. We want to be able to live that kind of a normal life. Why would we developed in such a fucking advanced society, and what we've done as humans, all the bad and good things. And we had that small period, especially in the West, of this nice, calm, great period where most people could afford most stuff and live a normal life. And then it suddenly went to the other extreme, okay? It went to most people being poor and struggling, to most people being in the normal and in the average range and being able to afford more stuff for a normal life. And then now it's the average. And now it's the other extreme where there's tons and tons of poor people and a few very rich people that have most of the wealth. Any aliens wanna come, do some stuff, maybe change the regime or change the regime, change the system, or you know, conquer us or something. I'm joking, by the way. I'm freaking joking.
Millennial brother and sister just now had kids with
I
their
wish stuff
spouses
can
in
get
their
better,
mid to
and
late
I would
30s.
help
had to
if I
clarify
could and knew
spouses
how.
in case someone from Alabama misconstrued that statement. But the point I'm making is, like, for the rest of us Gen Zers who are behind millennials while we're still in our 20s, look, we'll get there when we get there, all right? We'll get there when we want to get there,
I might die before
too.
then,
And even
I
if
don't know.
you don't want to get there, I'm not going to hate you as a person. There's so much more to life
Of
than what
course
our
not.
DNA tells us. Humans are special because we have reasoning and critical thinking. But if you want a kid, you can have
Yeah, but that's actually both a bad and a good thing for multiple reasons. You all know why. This whole video was multiple of those
a
reasons.
kid, but don't feel like you need to compare yourselves to what boomers did and all their hounding about having it right out the gate when you're like 22 to 25, all right? Enjoy life at your own pace, and I hope we all weather this storm. Truth is, I don't want the system to rot. I just want it to heal. Thanks for watching. Like this video.
Great freaking video. I've never seen this guy's video, and he basically showed tons of screenshots of like creators I watch daily on like topics like this. Belated Angel. I mean, I've got 1,000 subscribers. I was gonna say go and subscribe to him, but he doesn't need my help. You know what I mean? Tell me what you guys think in the comments, and hopefully we're gonna get through this whole storm and stuff is gonna get better. But if stuff gets better when we are in our 60s and 70s, if I even survive till then fuck. Have a nice day.